Okay. All right. So I was kind of thinking to myself, kind of what my plan would be if, it's hard to have a chat by yourself, but I will tell you that one of the things I love to do is talk to myself. It's not unusual that as I'm moving around the house or working on something that you would hear me talking. I am definitely what do you call it? An auditory processor. So I often like think things through by talking them through, which is kind of like I would love to hear if you're watching this on the obviously if you're watching this, you're watching it on the replay. I would love to hear, are any of your children, do they talk through as they learn? Because that is really just a great observation, but it also will tell you how you might be able to help them learn things by allowing them to talk it through or helping them to talk it through. If you hear them kind of talking to themselves, they're probably auditory processor like I am, and that helps them absorb new information. It helps them work through multi-step activities. So yeah, just something to think about. So I'm going to have this chat with myself. I'm not sure how that's going to happen or what that's going to look, but I have prepared some things, and I definitely wanted to share with people. But I know this is summer. I know sometimes people have good intentions. I think there were 3 that said they were coming, but sometimes life gets in the way, and we have to kind of make decisions on, is this, which is the best, like what would God have me do at this moment. Um so so let's get through that. Let's get into this. God was talking to me this morning about joy, and this scripture, a merry heart doeth good like a medicine. And I love this picture, just showing kids jumping. I kind of looked at it like the one on the right might be the mom, and then the 2 kids just having a wonderful time. And that is my prayer. That is my hope, that this summer you are having a wonderful time and that you are enjoying your children, that you are spending quality time with your children, making memories, just doing everyday life, taking a little more of a break from maybe the usual routine. We'll talk a little bit about routines in just a little bit. All right, so let's go ahead. And, this was something I was really interested. So again, any of these questions as I pose them, I would love for you to answer, comment below this video when I post it on our Facebook page. How have you been integrating learning into your lifestyle this summer? What ways? And one of the things that I love about summer is the good weather and being able to get out into nature, into just get your feet in the grass. I don't know if any of you are familiar with grounding, putting your feet in the grass, and how healing that can be. As there's another whole subject, but just being outside and what that can do to reset your body, reset your mind, reset your emotions. I know I like to take a walk, and one of the things is movement is great, but just getting out and listening, you're hearing the birds and just stopping for a little bit. I've just been blessed by we've moved into a new home, and it has a beautiful view over Lake Erie, and just sitting out there with the sunsets has been a wonderful way of resetting from my day, kind of recharging, releasing the day. But I also know that there are lots of opportunities out there for learning. And so, one of the things that kind of was my heart about these homeschool chats is that if maybe a mom knows about some events that's coming up, because I got this, it was actually a flyer or a little newspaper that goes out to senior citizens, and I almost threw it out. But then I was like, wait, it says there's events and you can take your grandkids. And it was a wonderful resource. It just shows, it chronologically shows all the different things that are happening for kids and adults this summer in the area. So yeah, so if you've got a, kind of your eyes on something that's coming up, please, 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 again, put it in the comments below so others can be aware of those things. All right, so I did go on, I wanted to talk about routines because this is something new in I don't want to say new in my life, but I'm finding that a more effective way to use routines than ever before. And I have had a kind of a bent and you know, I'd love to hear kind of how, you know, how you bent. Do you really thrive in routines or do you tend to pull away from routines? And I was always one that tended to pull away from routines, but I am finding that having a strong morning routine and a strong evening routine has really been to my benefit. That I, in the morning, and I think part of it is moving to this new home. I kind of felt like it was a new start, a new opportunity to kind of have uh, a place for everything and everything in your place. We'd lived in the my prior home for 27 years. So there were things that had been in the same place for 27 years that I never really evaluated. Like, is this the best place for this? Every once in a while, you might do a little reorganization, but you kind of just get used to where everything is. But when we moved here, I knew there were a lot of things. It was my mom's home, and there were a lot of things that I knew I needed to get to declutter. I needed to decide, like, you know, you only need so many spatulas, right? And I had my own spatulas, I had my mom's spatulas, and which ones do I want to keep? So there was a lot of decision making in that. But in that, I was able to then kind of purpose in my heart that everything was going to have a place. And that way, if something is left on the counter, I know exactly where it needs to go, right? And I am a person who does not mind clutter. I don't mind a lot of visual intake. I know some of you may be minimalists. Um, I really, some people probably would come to my house and maybe be a little overwhelmed at the amount of visual stimulus that's coming at them. Even with your children, you know, it's kind of interesting. You may want to talk about, I wasn't going to talk about that. That's another whole topic, but you know, that might be something to kind of begin to look at even for your children, you know, that visual, what routines do they need? How much visual can they handle? Are they overwhelmed with maybe, like I've heard wonderful things. Again, I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent, but I think since I'm having this conversation with myself, I will allow myself to go down the tangent, right? So I know I've heard of like parents who kind of rotate toys, right? I have one mom who not too long ago, till I was kind of asking her about routines and different things, different structure in her house. And she was saying that one of the best things she did was she went through her kids' toys and they kind of got rid of stuff they don't play with. But then also they just kind of like decreased the amount of toys that they had access to on a daily basis. Where that might mean like tubs, maybe a tub that comes out each month, or you know, allow your children to choose three things. Let's choose three things that you're really into right now that we're going to have on the shelf ready to go that you can have on a daily basis, and maybe like once a month, like kind of reevaluate, are you still loving to play with this? And what she was finding that her children were becoming more involved in more played, more engaged, I guess is what I want to say, more engaged in those specific toys, where if they had too much to choose from, it's like they would go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing and not really like settle in and become engaged. And I feel like those kind of things, that engagement with something, with just how life comes at us. Like we are such a, quote, for lack of a better word, microwave society, and we're so used from moving from this to this to this to this. I mean, our social media, our technology kind of begins to kind of affect all of our attention spans, right? Where we don't feel like we can just really sit down for like a good hour and just do one thing. Like, how well do you do that? How well do your children do that? I think that's something to look at. I'm kind of off routines, but I think this is really good, kind of a good thing to kind of begin to gauge. Like, am I feeding into my child's lack of attention, being able to focus on a given task because there's just too much stimuli around, or maybe too many choices, right? Um, because that's a skill set. That's a skill set that's really, really important in learning, that a child can focus on one thing, kind of start to finish. That's important. Um, I wanted to talk about how summer routines are sometimes different from school year routines. But one of the biggest questions, I guess, here um, was, well, first off, just to kind of examine your routines. Are there times of the day? I guess this is like where I would start. Are there times of the day that are more difficult for you and your family, where you start to feel more stressed? You feel like things get a little off course. Those are the places where I would encourage you to just ask, is there some simple routine that I could put in this time of day that would help, that would have a positive effect, that I could be intentional about? Kind of how I ended up if you didn't see my live, and I don't remember how much I talked about it, but one of the reasons why I ended up being intentional in creating an evening routine for myself, because I felt so like, one, unproductive, but I had this sense of I wasn't taking care of myself and allowing myself a routine to prepare for good rest. And it was affecting my rest. It was affecting my ability to kind of reset from the day. And I found myself just um, zoning out, numbing out, where I would just get on my phone, right? And then I decide to go to bed. And I didn't like how I felt. I didn't like what that was doing. I didn't feel it was like really taking care of me and paying and making notice of what I needed in that moment. Um, One of the other great routines or things that I've heard from homeschool moms is like after lunch, actually having like an hour where your child just goes in their room, and they don't have to like take a nap, but maybe, like, I've even heard like the kind of the guidelines around this, the boundaries around it, is that everybody needs to be in their bed and quiet, right? It doesn't mean they have to be sleeping. It doesn't, I mean, they could have a quiet toy, something, not a screen, not a screen. That's not what I'm talking about here. But I'm talking about a quiet time. Could be a book, could be a quiet puzzle, but they are in their bed. They're in bed for about an hour. Gives mom a chance, you as a mom, a chance to recharge, to maybe read a little of your own, maybe take, depending on the age of your children, maybe take a little nap, if you can. But again, it would be something that, and I've just heard, it just gives space to kind of like a time of resettling, and resetting, maybe from the morning, which can be maybe a lot of activity. This especially is helpful. I mean, I feel like, in the summer months, even if I think about this, I was thinking in the school year, a lot of times you do a lot of your table time and things like that. But the actual like book learning is usually done in the morning, not all the time, but oftentimes with homeschoolers it is. So it gives a little bit of like space in between before you go into your afternoon fun or activities. But even in the summer, when I think about this, is like, um, and they do this in other countries where like the stores and restaurants actually close and they have like a time of siesta or whatever, right? But there's such value in slowing down our lives. It allows us to step back from the go, 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 right? I think the other thing, another mom I just heard recently, they were doing a screen-free summer, and I feel like there was another piece to that, but I don't remember. And I need to ask her like how that's going, and what she's noticing. We might have to have a screen. Maybe we can have a screen-free challenge, maybe at some point. That would be fun. Um, Um, and then the other thing too, to just kind of like, if your summer routine looks very different from your school year, your next learning, I like to call it a learning season, um, then, be thinking about how do you help? How are you going to help your children transition from maybe a summer routine that might have been more loose and have more choices and downtime to maybe a learning season that is a little more structured. Just some things to think about. All right. So, things that you might want to do, and I know, oh goodness, I was in a prayer group yesterday with two teachers. One is a retired teacher. I no longer work, right, in the school system. And then one was currently working. And the one that was retired said something about, I don't know, going back to school or something to the one that has go back and fall, right? And I thought, oh, I remember not liking at all, not liking the feeling that I had when the calendar turned to July. For some reason, even though I was going to have a whole month, because once it's in August, like you're getting ready for school, I was going to have a whole month to like not have to think about um, going back to work. But I remember as a teacher feeling like that panic. Oh my goodness, it's already July. It's already the 4th of July. My summer is almost over, And I thought when she asked that question, when she mentioned it, I was like, oh, I remember how I felt there, right? So I don't want to bring that feeling into you, but I wanted to kind of present some things that you might want to be thinking about, right? And just ask you, first of all, have you taken time to really sit and just think about your last learning season? I like to sit, like celebrate the wins. What wins did you have the last learning season? What things went well for you? What would you like to change? And before I jump too much further into like preparing for your next learning season, I do want to remind you that I still have some slots in my calendar for wrap up sessions. So even though you're no longer like required to do these by the state of Ohio, you don't have to do the annual, you know, um, portfolio review or the testing. Um, there is still value in sitting down with another that is not in your homeschool to really take a look at um, maybe like where you've been, any concerns that you have, and kind of get a plan in place. And I love to do this. This is like one of my favorite. This is like my favorite thing to do is to sit down with a homeschool mom and hear all the great things that are happening. Because I will tell you, I don't know how many times, and this is value in and of itself. I think as homeschool moms, we are consistently kind of like have this critical voice inside of us that is saying we didn't do enough. I'm not doing enough for my kids. Oh my goodness, we barely got any schoolwork done, right? And so during these wrap up sessions, one of I would say it's probably my primary goal is to help you see the value and really identify the things that went well, the wins. Because I don't know how many times I've sat down with a homeschool mom who's already feeling kind of like uncomfortable, feeling shame, feeling condemnation, her own, right? Saying, we didn't do enough. We didn't do enough. I got so off track. Only to find as we talk more, there have been some really, really valuable things that have happened in that school year. And then she can she leaves feeling like, oh my goodness, I am doing something right. I am bringing value and kind of recharge. There is so much value in that. So I just encourage you, even though it's not a requirement anymore, and it may seem like, okay, I can take that out of my budget, there is so much value in sitting down with me. So I just encourage you. I opened up the slots. It is totally up to you. My feelings aren't hurt. I'm not like anything, but I would love to meet with you. I would love to meet with you. Okay. So some of the things in your next learning center session to get prepared for your next learning season is really, like, again, sit down and evaluate. You can do this on your own. Again, I think there's value in doing that with another person because I can bring like a perspective that you may or may not see. And then we can talk about like challenges, and you can go away with an action plan and say, oh, wow, yeah, I didn't think of doing that. Oh, yeah, I didn't think, wow, that might, there is such great fruit that comes from that. All right. Anyway, um, you know, I think it's important for you to decide, are the activities that you've been doing, are they still aligned with your homeschool vision? Now, again, you have to already have defined the homeschool vision, and I do that in my membership, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But one of the things is really getting concrete in your homeschool vision is really, really important, because I think as we're making like choices, when we are making choices, like we could do this, or we could be part of a co-op, or we could be part of this, we could do this instead, because we only have so much time. If you have a clear homeschool vision for your family, it's very easy to make those choices. You can say, okay, well, I know that is not going to line up with my vision. And I will tell you that your vision needs to consistently be kind of looked at. God tells us that people we perish because of lack of vision, right? So we need to have vision in our homeschool school, and that will often change. It will alter. It will change depending on the season, depending on the things that is, there's a lot of pieces and parts. And again, I go into all of that in the membership. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So yeah, just kind of looking at, are the activities that we've been doing aligned with our homeschool vision? Is everything in alignment? Right? I think it's really valuable to sit back and observe our children. Look at our children's enjoyment. What kind of feedback are you getting about your learning times, right? Are your children engaged? Are they enjoying? Are they, and I know that sometimes we want to say to our children, there are just some things we have to do in life. So just buck up and do it. All right. I'm going to tell you that learning needs to be enjoying it. We need to enjoy learning. We are meant to learn. We are natural learners. When you look at a little kid, who hasn't been like placed into any kind of structural learning environment, and you see passion and excitement to learn, to observe, that is not meant to be killed. Thwarted, I should say. Killed is like kind of a drastic, but it is meant to be something that is a lifetime. I love to learn. Learning is fun for me. I do certain things just to learn about something new. And we need to be kind of monitoring that and figuring out. And it doesn't mean everything has to be fun and giggles. And wow, this is so good. This is so fun. No, 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 no. You're not feeding, you don't want to feed that kind of fleshly desire in your children, but they need to be having fun. They need to be enjoying. They are children. They are children. Their their learning should not be drudgery. If it is drudgery, then we need to figure out a different way, and I can help you do that. All right. Um, if there are any concerns, I want to help you, or I can help you develop a plan to address them. Maybe your child's struggling to learn something specific. Maybe they're struggling to read. Maybe they're not getting numbers. Maybe maybe they're not motivated, right? Maybe they're pushing back. There's a lot of pieces and parts. And I will tell you, sometimes I have a difficult, like I feel like I shouldn't like toot my own horn, but I was not only a homeschool mom of 4, I also I am a licensed intervention specialist. Okay, so my job was to work with the kids that struggle with learning. So I can help you. I can help you address learning concerns and different motivation concerns with your children. And then I think too, it always just makes sense to really continue. Curriculum is a tool. Like sometimes I see homeschool moms, homeschool parents, like kind of get married to one curriculum and think, well, we've always done Abeka, so we're just going to continue to do Abeka. And just recently, I had a mom who had always done Abeka. She had done Abeka. She was very excited. She was very liked Abeka. She felt it worked for most of her kids. And her oldest began to struggle in math when she hit high school. And she kind of struggled through Algebra 1. But then when it got a little higher, and it was just like the struggle was real. And I even did a little bit of short amount of just help tutoring, some sessions, just trying to help her support. And let's see, like, why is she struggling? What is going on? She started avoiding her math, not getting it done, and all this because she all of a sudden wasn't experiencing success. And I'll tell you, I recommended a math program for this mom that has changed the way her daughter is seeing math. It was just a matter of changing the curriculum. She's still learning the same thing, but her attitude is different. Her learning is different. It just turned the whole situation around. So I think you need to and sometimes one curriculum that works for one child, if you have multiple children, I know it makes it more simple for you, but a lot of times you need to mix and match. A lot of times what was good for one of your children is not going to be good for the other child. And so, and just consistently kind of evaluating. Those of you that are new, you sometimes choosing a curriculum can be very overwhelming. One of the things I often say is, don't grab a hold and think that if you make this decision, it can never be changed. I experienced this in my basement remodel, right? I had such a hard time picking the lights because they felt so permanent until one of my friends said, if you choose a light and you put it up and you don't like it, it can be changed. Now that seems like a really simple, yeah, duh. Okay. But it gave me the freedom to go, okay. And I was able to pick out my lights and say, you know what? If after a time I don't like that, I will go and get a different light. Well, I think we, even with curriculums, especially when we're starting out, it is so hard. You can do all the research and then still get a curriculum and go, this just isn't working. This isn't what I imagined. And it might say, well, even though I spent some money, I'm going to need to like abort and let that go and try something different. I can help you with those things. I know a lot about different curriculums. I can, it really is just a tool. And I would just encourage you to not hold too tightly to it. All right. So that's just some things just to be thinking about. Again, not to put panic in like school's gonna just around the corner. It is only July 9th. Okay. All right. So the new paperwork. Most of the moms that I have talked to are familiar that there is new paperwork, and it is so much more simple. It is one document, and it's one page, and you hardly put anything on it. So just in case if someone hasn't, let me stop presenting this, and I'm going to go ahead and open up. Okay. All right. So Ohio Home Education Notification Form, it became effective in October of 2023. Up here at the top, it just talks about that this is to be used in the education of children between age 6 and 18, right? It is directed by the child's parent. Home education does not include education provided to a child who is enrolled full-time in a public or chartered non-public school. So if you were in a chartered non-public school, like a Odella or something like that, you would not need to do this. All right, it does say that receiving in the subject areas of English, language arts, mathematics, science, history, government, and social studies, right? So that is just gives you kind of an outline of things. It used to be where we kind of had a check mark that we had so many hours and that kind of thing. So it's just defining the areas. You as a mom, you as parents are in full decision of what content is going to be in science, what content is going to be in history, what content is going to be in government and social studies and all of that. So that's totally in your what do you call it? Your power, your decision making power. And it says within 5 calendar days of starting home education, moving into a new district, or withdrawing from a public school, and by the 30th day of August. So it used to be, and I've said this just recently on a what do you call it? I said this, by the 30th day of August, because some of you have districts that maybe start after Labor Day. I'm kind of thinking that's probably why they put this into here. But basically, it says within 5 days of commencing home education. So I read that as, and I would stand if anybody wants to correct me, but I read that as just like it used to be, that this notification form needs to be to the superintendent by the end of the first full week of school, after the 5 calendar days. So, and again, if your child, you do not have to notify if your child is not going to be 6 years of age in the next school year or older, right? So if your child is still 5 and going to still be 5, maybe they don't turn 6 until next fall, you don't need to notify. But when you get into the school year where your child is going to turn 6, you notify on that year at the beginning of the school year, right? I also always say that I'll go into this form. Let me go into this form and then we'll kind of talk about the delivery of this form. Okay, so you just put the year here, 24, 25, parent, guardian name, address, and then here, the following children will receive education. And again, it lists those things that you're going to be covering. This is just their names. You do not put what grade they're going to be in. You do not have to put their birth dates. Anything else you might think you need here, their name, first, last name. And then you go down here and you sign and you date it. How simple is that? Okay, hold on. Oh, wait, I did not share it. Okay, oh goodness, that whole time I thought I was sharing it. That's okay. That's okay. This is what looks like. Oh, dismiss. Sorry, cannot share. Okay, stop sharing. Stop sharing that. Okay, let me try one more time. If it won't let me share, I will. Okay. Oh, goodness. Okay. That whole time I thought I was sharing. Okay. So let me go up again. I won't repeat myself completely, but here's all it is the day of the school year, your name, your address, name of your children, sign date. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. All right. And you want to make sure, just like before, you make sure that it goes to your superintendent directly. You mail it certified with a signature, certified mail to ensure that they got it. So you have proof that it was sent to them, that they received it. And then, or if you're going to drop it off, because a lot of times homeschool moms, they just go, okay, I'm just going to drop it off. Make sure you get in writing that you dropped it off, and the person signs it and dates it that they received it, just in case that it would get lost. You are just, and once that notification form is not in their hands, once that notification form is sent, you are covered. You are covered. They will send back. They have a timeline in which they are to send back a acknowledgement, not an approval, an acknowledgement that they received your intent to homeschool. So they're acknowledging that they received that. And basically what that does is it kind of just means that you're not truant. They're acknowledging that you are educating your own child at home, taking that responsibility. Therefore, you are excused. It's an excusal letter. A lot of times they call it excusal letter. You are excused. Your child is excused from attending school. So you're not truant. It's not an approval though. So don't think you're waiting on that approval. I need my approval from the district. No, you notify. They are responsible to acknowledging your notification and excuse your child from the mandatory attendance. Okay, so there's that. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to, let me just real quick look at something. Okay, so let me go ahead. I'm going to share again, go back to my, okay, let's see if it's going to take me back there. If it's still, yes, it did. Okay, all right. Okay, so I mentioned some of the services where I'm doing like just the one time meet with me to kind of do the end of the year wrap up, right? The annual wrap up. So that's an option. That's one of the services I have. I also have revamped my membership. So I wanted to take some time to really just let you know what that revamping looks like so that you can pray and think about whether this would be something that would be valuable for your family. All right, so let me go ahead. Again, I know technology, I'm trying to kind of, I guess I have to do that. Since I'm using more than one thing here, I need to, okay. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at that membership, what it entails. Let's see, do I need to go over here? I think, sorry. I think if I go here, okay. All right, I think I'm sharing that. I've made sure you can see it this time. All right, so let me talk about the Legacy Homeschooling Collective just for a few minutes, right? My heart for this is that this would be a place for homeschool moms to learn and grow, as well as a place of support for them as they're homeschooling. All right, so the level that I feel like is of most value is the Legacy Gold level, which is $77 a month. Now, the reason why I feel like this is the most valuable is that and this is where my changes have taken place. Last year, I did a small group kind of launch of my membership, and everything was pretty much done through group coaching, like with 2 calls a month. And at the end of that, I asked the moms, like, what was most valuable to you? And they said, just having you there when I needed you, either in the voice support. And so what I ended up deciding to do with my membership is that it would not only include the one-on-one voice support, which would either be through either Voxer or Facebook Messenger. And we would, that would be where you could send me a voice message at any point, and then within usually it's only like, it's a very short time that you would hear back from me, but I definitely within 24, 48 hours, I would get a voice message back. More than likely, it's like an hour or two. It just kind of depends. Like if it's a holiday or maybe Sunday, it might take me a little longer, but most of the time I would get back to you in a very short amount of time. So we could just be having like kind of a conversation back and forth. They felt like that was valuable in and of itself. I also changed the coaching calls. I was doing group coaching calls centered around a kind of a topic for the month. I have totally moved to individual coaching calls, 1 per month, where it would just be you and I chatting either virtually, or I would be open to meeting you in person, where there would be like kind of a need thing ahead of time. So I could come prepared, right? What did you need? What's going well? All that stuff. But it would just be you and I. And I feel like that individualized coaching can really bring great value. I have just come out of a time where I was doing health coaching, and it was supposed to be actually a group coaching situation, but a lot of times I was the only one that signed up, that showed up for the group coach. So I was kind of getting into individual coaching, and it was so wonderful because we could talk about what was going on with me, right? What I needed help with, what I needed encouragement with. And I saw such value in that. And 2, I felt like it was a safe place as I got to know my coach. I could talk about things that maybe I wouldn't have talked about in a group, right? So for $77 a month, you are getting one-on-one voice support. You're getting more than this, but the voice support, and you're getting a monthly individual coaching call with me. All right. Also, I am going to continue with the monthly homeschool chats. Those will be group chats. This one was open to everyone, but I am going to be doing the monthly homeschool chat is going to be with members only, right? This is a interactive. It is virtually with other homeschool moms to get your questions answered. And again, value when people show up. Sometimes that can be challenging. But it's very valuable when we all show up, and because we're all at different places and we have different things. And so we kind of like learn from each other, right? Also, I have a legacy blueprint process, which is our modules that have videos, workbook pages, checklists, those kind of things that will help you get a simple homeschool plan in place. That's what I was talking about when I was talking about vision. There's a whole section on vision, getting that vision in place so that you can make good decisions for you and your family. It's very individualized because even though I have the video content, you are doing your individual work by journaling, getting things on paper, and helping you become confident that you're stepping out on the right foot. This is really, really great for new homeschoolers that are just getting started, but also can really be a great way to kind of reset if you've been homeschooling for a long, long time. And maybe just like kind of what I was saying about my house, right? With getting a new house, then could kind of change the way I was doing things, right? So it's just really important to kind of consistently be looking at, like, oh, well, this is just the way we've always done it. Okay, well, after a while, this is just the way we always done it gets kind of, can be more, it might not be the best for this season. So, also, you will get one annual year wrap-up session, which is just one-on-one for you as part of this membership. And then again, I've already talked about the one-on-one support. Private access to me, a veteran homeschool mom, licensed intervention specialist, will help you keep your stress levels down. Totally worth the cost of the membership. All right, if all of that sounds great, I would encourage you to text me, and I need to put this somewhere, but you can text me, you can call me, you can message me on Facebook, and just kind of say, you know what, I want more information. I'm also doing like quick connect calls right now for anybody who thinks like, oh, I wonder if this membership would be. I've got some specific questions though. So I would love to like just do a quick call, 10, 15 minutes to kind of see if this is a good match for you. If you maybe don't need, if you sign up, let me talk about the bonuses. Then I'll talk about the silver level. So if you join the Legacy Gold before August 1st, you receive one complimentary initial planning and consultation session, which is worth $100. You could actually even use this as your wrap up and get ready session. So some of this stuff, even though I call it like a initial planning and consultation session, again, my heart is to individualize. So what is your need? Like, what do you really need in this moment to be ready, right? And I even had like a parent ask me something about assessing her child. I said, well, I'm flexible enough to say that, do you want to use, if you want to use your complimentary initial planning and consultation session, if you want to use that as where I come and assess your child, I'd be good for that. I could do that. Also, I have a virtual women's Bible study that you could be part of. It's once a month. It's a great place to just grow in your faith and kind of feed you as the homeschool mom. And then I also have a members only homeschool mom focus group on Facebook where you can post and you can encourage. I will go live. We talk about all things homeschooling. So, all right. So that's the gold. And again, benefits. Oh, I did not talk about also if you sign up. Okay, so also there is a payment plan. So I said it was $77 a month, but there are ways to save if you pay quarterly or yearly. So if you pay by the quarter, you actually can save up to 10% on the yearly fee. And if you pay for the whole year, you save 20%. So I'm running that bonus right now, or that opportunity as well. So let me say that if maybe you don't feel like you need the one-on-one support, you don't want to have the individual coaching call, and you would just prefer to pay separately for your annually wrap-up session, there is a plan for you, which is only $47 a month. That's the Legacy Silver membership. This includes everything listed above except for the one-on-one support and the annual yearly wrap-up session. So you still get top-notch support through monthly homeschool chats. You will still get your questions answered in the members-only Facebook group, and you still get full access to the Legacy Blueprint process where you can individually work through the process of creating a homeschooling plan for your family from foundation to implementation. Again, if you are at all interested, private message me on Facebook, text me at 440-667-8517, call me, email me. I can be found at charlotte.roof@legacyhomeschooling.com. And again, here's your additional ways. If you pay quarterly, you save 10%. If you pay for the entire year, you can save 20%. Okay, so there you go. There's my new membership. I would love to have some feedback. If there are things that you feel like, oh, I wish she had like included this, um, then please, please, please reach out to me and say, hey, I would really benefit from this because my heart is to be here for you. That's it. I believe that I am called to this space and I am here to help you, to support you, to help you not only in your homeschooling, but to grow as a woman of God. That's why I'm here. That's my heart. So I hope you enjoyed the conversation. There wasn't much of a conversation. Please, please, please comment below any of your thoughts. I am looking for feedback. I am looking, if you don't want to put it in the comments because you don't want to see that, anyone to see like what you said, then please message me. Again, I'm looking for feedback. I'm looking to find out what you need, how I can come alongside you and journey in this next season. God bless you.